Yes. Well, don't you think it's ironic that there's a connection between the American Indians and the Eastern Plateau people, the Tibetans and Mongolians? Did you get one of these books? Big shoe. One more. Very good. What, a novice, a bhikshu is a fully ordained? What's a novice called? Shinivama?
Bhikshu actually is
especially those enemies, me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, by the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mothers, sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Then to page 21, please. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two wheels in their combination, according to the disposition and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
다시 심지담 제제주 신제람네 제반에 서라tum 제도도 제와 준비고네 제수 종환제도 소 강계 샤서 다베명어 계산 좀 매나라시 준비수 전도자베 도금메게 되저로도 제나마 거네 저런지디 숨제고 제베도 페마카베 샤베드렌달로 인소 저런 지엔소라 페메동 보제 제반은 저런조는 저베 Sensobezeyedeso marbepe manjune dalo yinso jon jinye dunga jeje jeben jinze jungo rabganje dogen summe mambazar baloro kone nyindo cho kola shirba mebe chuen galante bak jambar jona pemar jede kene geve toge jo yero pema karbon dumbe ja le son so tonga dawa chen ningame so loro cho zawayan jinga ga pramida ye jon Gumbolurayan Devada, Tumini Cholan Chijeda, Chijun Chanani Bawoso, Zamlin Jinjo Nam Jedi, Degar, Jin Bingur, Yundigunyo Gavi Chidrut, Nimbit the Beben and Jurba, to me with Rekavjedi, John Chidar Javish, Goshiwala, Nando to Bama to Shawar, someone from Jodunga and Rungi, Jimmy Chijibon Bedai. Riton Jambre Ganation Lavle, Gumbalon, Pobedet, Ondo Chindo Jamdanga, Mapanjambi, Anjedai, Chong Kange, Dala Rupasabada. Doji Denje Mengaji, so La Bata, one Gresham, Beng, Jutenjela Medai, Chong, Yunde Sanjikun, Danyam Naya, Kari Sanjikun, Lapping. Savala Mishala, so under the Sondo, Lona, Jula, Ju, Sanji, Chudam Soji Chonam La, Sanjo Barodana Japson. Dagi Chini Jebe Sonamji Dola Pensar Sanje Dopa Sho Sanje Judan Soji Jonam La Sanjo Badodana Juzunji Dagi Chini Jebe Sonamji Dola Pensar Sanje Dopa Sho Sanje Judan Soji Jonam La Sanjo Badodana Juzunji Dagi Chini Jebe Sonamji Dola Pensar Sanje Dopa Sho. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this book, Your Mind is Your Teacher, Self-Awakening Through Contemplative Meditation. And here we have 4 seals of the Dharma. And of course, I'm going to explain first the title of this text. And then we can go through all some subject. It's a very important subject. And what we have to learn here, your mind is your teacher, awakening through contemplative meditation. Then we have to know the self, then our mind, and the teacher, and the contemplative meditation. In the traditional teachings, saying that there's many of the teachings based on the title. This is pretty much similar. This whole subject relates to this title. And title of the text, this is a story or related to some traditional teachings. Some titles relate to the place. Some text of the titles related to the location or teacher or subject. But this is more related to the subject of, this is related to the subject. Your mind is your teacher. Now, what we have to know here, inside we have a little bit different way of explain, but some things I didn't explain inside. So therefore, I'm going to explain more, a little bit detailed, relate to this title. And the first, we have to recognize in the self. Self, from Dharma point of view, the self is that combination of mind and body. As long as we are alive, then self and a person is, again, a combination of mind and body. And another way of saying that self is one part of self is mind, other part of self is this body, corporeal body. When we die, then we already know this body live in this world, abandoned somewhere, and then that point, the self is become just conscious itself to go to the next life. From Dharma point of view, is their conscious as mind, part of mind self is majority. Part of self is the mind. Another way of saying that in the Abhidharma described the self as a combination of 5 skandhas, that form, feeling, perception, formation, and consciousness. The 5 skandhas, if you heard those terms. The 5 skandhas, or sometimes we use 5 aggregates, 5 hips. The skandha is a Sanskrit term, basically talking about in this body and our mind. And this body is form. Then we have feeling. Later, I'm going to give the more detailed the subject. But beginning, if you just lay out a little bit of foundation of what's going on here, of those teachings. And here, then of course, 4 seals of the Dharma, Buddha's teachings, that's related to this corporeal body and mind, and how we have to recognize these teachings. So, and the feeling, we have feeling sometimes hot, sometimes cold, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Just feel something. This is a part of mind. And then perceptions. Different, we perceive different things. Here we can see many colors, rocks, and lots of things. It is perceptions. Then formation. Within formation, there are many mental states. So there are positive and negative. That's also we are going to. I'm going to read some part of in my book, and some I can give the more explanations of just oral teachings. The formation there, positive formation, love and compassion, faith, and exertions, a lot of other mental states of the mind. And also negative part of mental formation, jealous, envy, angry, hated, the all negative part of this mind is related to the formations and the faith. And formation. Then consciousness, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, so forth. What I'm saying here is that self is a combination of mind and body. The majority of self is mind. You see, these 5 skandhas, the 5 things, put it together, that's we call the self, a relative point of view. Form is just only physical thing. Feeling, perception, formation, consciousness, this 4 of the 5 is mind. And this is relative point of view of self. Now we see what kind of gradient of self, or self is composed of these 5 skandhas. Put it together, then sense of self is called me and mind, I. And then I usually strengthening their some things needed for the self in order to make a better life, healthier and a happier person. Then first we have to recognize what kind of being we are. We are what kind of being. Then the second, what we need. What we need is physical, then what we need in this mental. And this physical, the body need food. This physical body need the water and the sleep, and also exercise. Yeah, it's a necessity. And of course, I don't have to explain those things. Usually we always using it. But I want to express here is that not too much, not too little. That's relate to the Buddha's life. The last night we had a little bit conversation of the Buddha's life. But here, when he took ascetic practice, extremist path, before the Buddhist, he's not much drink, he's not much eat, and very straight as meditate. That makes his body is weak, and it brings lots of trouble. Then later he found that middle path, middle way is right. Too much, too little, both extremes, it makes problems. We have to take this path. Too much eat is a problem. Too little, not enough food, is also a problem. The food is for this body. Then, sleep is the same thing. Too much sleep is a problem. Too little sleep is not enough. Then exercise, right? We need exercise. In traditional Dharma practitioners, they do circumambulating, the stupas and temples, prostrations, those things. It's good for the body, at the same time accumulating the merit. In the modern times, there are lots of things to do, yoga practice, a little bit. Need this kind of the strengthening in our body. If you don't have healthy body, it's very hard to achieve happy life, and also anything, work, and the spiritual practice and the Dharma practice. If you don't have healthy body, then it's very hard to do good job. So, then another way of looking at this body, from this all Dharma point of view, what Buddha's teachings, great masters putting together, what kind of, this body. 5 elements, another way of describing. Earth, this body, flesh, bone is part of earth, then blood is water, and then we have heat, it's fire, and this energy, breathing in, breathe out, in a subtle energy that lots of things happening all the time. This is wind. Then we have space inside. It is all we call 5 elements. We always using 5 elements outside of the body. Sometimes too much 5 elements go into the body, it makes sick. And the water and the food is 5 elements. That tells us what kind of, the body is. Okay, so then this all another, we have to look Dharma point of view of life is material value of the material things. It's good for the body as long as we are alive. It has certain values. And when we die, then of course we have to leave this everything. Even this body, we can't carry. And all our possess now, what we have to leave. So one part of the self we called this body cherishing, and then some point we have to leave, right? The other part of self is mind. It's the Buddha's teaching, Buddhism, really emphasizing mind. Mind is more important than this body. Body is important, but it's compared to the mind and body, then mind is more important than body. In order to make the happier and good life, then we have to strengthen more our mind. Just only strengthening and effort, try to gain a wealth, the material wealth, a work for everything, from Dharma point of view, is not right. It doesn't mean that if you achieve wealth, the common wealth, even the wealthiest person in the world, but it doesn't mean that that person has a happy life. It could be more greedy and grasping and fixating, and it's lots of mixed troubles. But on the other hand, we have to strengthen mental part of being. They also have wealth too. That's in the teachings, Abhidharma teachings, describing wealth of mind is that faith, particularly intelligent faith, it's a healthy mind. In the Dharma practitioners, we have faith in the Buddha. It's a great teacher, have inside lots of wisdom, compassion, loving kindness and compassion, the wisdom, embodiment of the wisdom, this kind of wise. As a person had been in this world, illuminated the darkness or eliminated a lot of sufferings, millions of people, over 1,000 years. But still his teachings are alive and every day is helping limitless sentient beings. That kind of, we are trust, have faith in the Buddha. And also we have faith in the Dharma. Dharma, there are 2 types of the Dharma, Dharma of scriptures, Dharma of realization. I'm not going to talk right now, later it comes. But we trust in the Dharma. Dharma is a path. We have to study Dharma of scriptures, then try to get a Dharma of realization, understanding the meaning of here. Here is the book then Dharma, there are impermanence, the four seals of the Dharma. We have to understand the subject matters, then try to gain insight of realizations. The impermanence of the multiplicity and suffering and the emptiness, nirvana. If we understanding those, then it's Dharma of realizations. It's illuminated in the suffering. And faith is based on intelligent faith. It's a very important. A lot of Dharma teachings are based on the reasonings. It's nothing wrong if we have faith in the Buddha and Dharma Sangha, but we have to know a little bit the background and how it's performed and the value and so forth. That's to gain certainty. The Buddha is a great teacher and the Dharma is a great path. Sangha is helpful to journeys to cross the samsara and nirvana. So intelligent faith is a positive. It's a wealth of mind that is describing in Abhidharma. If we have that, then it's a strengthening and mental part of being. It has value. The mental value is more valuable than physical material things. The few reasons, material things is value as long as we are alive. It's skillfully, if we use it, then it's valuable. But when we die, we can't carry with us when we go to the next life. Buddhism believes reincarnation. It's not ending our life is with this body. So mental wealth go with the mind. More valuable than physical material things. Just I mentioned faith, then and the joyful exertions. That when we do something meritorious activities, we have to rejoice, enjoying it, or just it's a great opportunity. Just have to enjoying it. Even just sit 5 minutes or chanting some text. At this moment we have to, enjoying it. Life is very precious. We have to recognize enjoying it every day. Joyful exertion, it's a positive wealth of mind. And the mindfulness, what you do, we have to be mindful. If our mind is scattered everywhere, that's modern life. Lots of people are doing many things together, watching TV, eating, and the phone, and lots of things. This mind is scattered. So that means that kind of mind, distracted mind, is unhappy mind. If your mind is stable, one place, then even if you eat, it's more, delicious. Of course, when we meditate, then we have to have mindful. The Tenpa in Tibetan. Faith is Tenpa, joyful exertions, Tsundu Tenpa, Tsundu Tenpa. The thing is samadhi, concentration. It brings his mind as calm down, single-pointedly resting. Those we have to train. We already have that kind of mental state, but we have to train. Prajna. Prajna is that we are knowing our mind. In knowing in all phenomena, the relative point of view and the absolute point of view, it's that just not, this blame faith. Just really insightly we are knowing it, understanding. particular innate nature of one's own mind. If you want to know something in this world, then we have to know one's own mind. That is, Buddhism is a very special, emphasized, many generations, great masters sees the value of this. If we don't know in our mind, it's very hard to eliminate it in suffering. It's not that simple, it's not easy to look at in self, particularly in mind. We always look at outside of self, and when we have troubles, then blaming someone else and try to figure out, and if I have this, then I will be okay. Or some sort of, we are losing, not looking always inside of self. The Buddha Dharma is saying that, we have to more pay attention than the material things. So value of mind is more valuable than material things. So those we have to look at. And that's what I'm talking about, the self. Right? If we do this, then contentment and loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, part of our mind, those we have to strengthen. This is the value of wealth of mind. Wealth, material wealth, and the mental wealth. You see, if you want to make a rich, good person, happy life, then if you have both, then it makes your life is a happy life. Otherwise, one side is not enough. And so that is self. And then mind. Mind is we already taught a little bit, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness. And in here, the mind has two qualities or characteristics. So one is that noticing. Oh, this is a cow, this is a book, this is, this is, we call the mind. Mind noticing. And other is that awareness and the noticing. That kind of phenomena we call mind. And then teacher is the guide. Here we are looking inside what we already have mind, using our mind and to understand this four subjects: impermanence, multiplicity, suffering, and emptiness. Those four seals, we call it four seals of the Dharma, the Buddha's teaching, most related to these four subjects, directly or indirectly related to this. Those four seals is not related to any cultures, any things. It is a reality. It's never ever old or new. Even this Buddha, he discovered it, he teach to us. It's that we have to recognize. This is a natural reality we are talking about. If we understand, then life is impermanent. This physical body, is mind, impermanence, or it's always changing. If we realize or not, it doesn't matter, it's always changing. And not only this body, even everything, the universe is changing. So then multiplicity, those I think comes later. So those self-awakening through contemplative meditation. Meditation is a necessity to make a happier life. A lot of people physically healthy but mentally not healthy, not happy. They're not satisfied with their life. Now, if you are not hungry, you are not thirsty, this moment, you are not thirsty, you don't sick, but still not happy, something missing. Now you have to more pay attention to your mind. Physically, you are fine. Mentally, you are not fine. Problems. These problems we have to solve through the meditation, contemplative meditation, at this point here. Meditation, there are two types of meditations. Resting, or sometimes we call it shamatha meditation, just relaxing. And contemplative meditation is a part of, we call it vipassana, insight, special seeing it. It's not just resting, but really knowing it, the mind itself, particular natural mind. So knowing it, and then clearly see it at the same time, just resting. That kind of path eliminated the suffering. And also that is, we call it Dharma realization. This is Dharma. Okay. If you have any questions, I don't mind interrupt, just while I'm talking. It's fine. I can answer any. If you have any questions, just give me a hand. I can read a little bit here. And about this book, this handbook is designed to lay out the step to becoming an expert and our true selves through the practice of contemplative meditation. One way, when we study in Dharma, really we are studying in self. Self, that body and mind. When you are studying in this book, and also you are studying in yourself. Usually we don't see it, but through this, yeah, we can see it very easily. Meditation, sometimes called analytical meditation. Contemplative meditation is a sitting practice. It's not always contemplative meditation is a sitting practice, but what I lay out is a sitting practice here. You can contemplate while you are outside on the cushion. And then when you look at, whole situations, look at it in the cars moving, in the clothes moving, in everything. And then you can see how the phenomena change, impermanence. And you can, any time. If you get these ideas, then you will use all the time. It's nothing changed reality, just we are more aware of, noticing. This is, if we know reality, there are two types of realities. Reality, some related to a relative point of view, some reality related to the absolute point of view. Relative point of view is impermanent, is a part of relative point of view. Multiplicity, this I'm talking about here. Multiplicity and suffering is a relative point of view. Then emptiness sublessness, if you're familiar with those terms, then that's related to the absolute level of reality. Usually we don't see it that way, but a great being, Buddha Shakyamuni, like example, Nagarjuna, Asanga, Vasubandhu, these great beings, that's really realize that kind of reality. But studying Dharma, studying in self, try to realize that level of phenomena. Where things appear, where things are. Many times we make many mistakes. But through studying Dharma, I think it's very, very helpful. Instead of trying to create thought, we apply the thinking capacity of the. I'm just reading a little bit, then explain. Page at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, beginning. Okay. We apply the thinking capacity of our naturally inquisitive mind. That is why this book is called Your Mind is Your Teacher. From the Buddhist point of view, the source of our troubles is that we have seriously misunderstood our body and our mind. It is the job of contemplative meditation to correct the misperceptions. When we begin to know the true nature of your body and your mind, you will feel better about yourself and your life. This idea is that if we know it in ourselves, it makes much happier, much better. A lot of things, many times, we don't know in ourselves. It's very funny stories I always tell in this. There are 9 or 10 people, I don't remember exactly, but we can say 9 people traveling some places. Suddenly one person realized, someone missing. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then he said, someone missing here. And everybody counted, who's missing? That one person missing. Everyone's forget, and self included, There are 9 people, right? Everybody's just 1, 2, 3, counting others, just forget and self. Similar, when we, it's very hard to see in the self, in particular in the one's own mind. And in some teachings saying that it's like a finger. Tip of the finger, you can touch everything. It's very hard to touch itself. And but it's important to look at inwardly one's own mind and itself and the body and the mind. That we can gain some wisdom, Dharma realizations. Basically, this is the answer to eliminate it and our suffering. Okay, when you begin to know the true nature of your body and mind, you will feel better about yourself and your life. I know this from my own experience and the experience of many others. There can be many numbers of subjects we can think about it using the method of contemplative meditation. In this book, I will analyze the contemplate the hallmark of existence, so named because they encompass the totality of existence. They are also known as the four seals of the Dharma because they are all hallmark of Buddhist path. So yeah, you can read it later. In brief, the four seals are the teachings of multiplicity, impermanence, suffering, and emptiness. When you understand the first three clearly, then you will automatically know what emptiness means, that affects the ego. We cling to our sense of identity and the well-being, an illusion. That is reality, that things are devoid of any permanent separate self. This fourth cell, emptiness. Emptiness is lots of Mahayana teachings. Emphasize emptiness, sublessness. If you're familiar with those terms, then there are two things very important in Mahayana teachings: bodhicitta and emptiness. Sometimes we describe in two wings to fly to the nirvana, enlightenment. Then we have to have bodhicitta, that we have to have realized emptiness. Emptiness is using terms describing fundamental nature of reality. Using just terms, emptiness, that really is talking about nature of reality here. Then in this book we have Hat Sutta, the Buddha's second transcendent well of Dharma, and he described lots of these profound teachings. The shortest text we call the Hat Sutta. That's in the book. I included and line by line commentary in it. Why would realize this everything is empty of self, then the key to our happiness and peace. This idea often plus, this is emptiness makes sense. Emptiness doesn't sound like much fun and even interesting, but emptiness is not nothingness. It is a complete openness without obstruction that allows everything to occur. This is why it is said that emptiness and appearances are inseparable. We will experience this more and more over time as we look deeply into existence with our wisdom mind. But I just give you here a little bit the background of this book. The few words about this tradition source of these teachings, since my wish to be helpful, and I share lots of stories myself. Of course, as myself as a Dharma practitioner and the teacher, practice the way to knowledge of the Buddhism. Yeah, we are all the beginner, some sort of. Even if you study many, many years, it's still beginner. I have been the Buddhist since I was 10, then I became became monk now over 30 years. I have lots, I study and just meditate. And I share some glimpse of my experience. I thought this is helpful. Then you can see lots of stories. And of course, some stories relate to the teachers and parents and so forth. And other teachings. I thought it's very, very helpful. The Tibetan here, later head of the violinist, Nyingma School of Tibetan Buddhism. Here, okay, I can read it then. As well as several decades as a monastic practitioner and the 9 years of study at the Buddhist University of Namdrolling Monastery. I think you don't know much about Namdrolling Monastery. It's the big monastery. I was there, studied for 9 years, particular. The last 3 years I taught some teachings. It's a big monastery, over I think 3,000 monks, nuns live there, and yeah, it's huge. It's part of Nyingma School of Tibetan Buddhism. We have 4 schools mainly: Tibetan Buddhism, Nyingma School, Kagyu School, Saja School, the Gelug School of Tibetan Buddhism. They all related to the Nalanda traditions of Buddha Dharma. And the last night we had a little bit conversation. Probably you already know those teachings, but I can explain a little bit the background of the stories. Maybe it's a little bit helpful. It's not included in this book, then why I can share some of these informations. Here, we all relate to the Nalanda University. The Nyingma School of Tibetan Buddhism is older one, from 7th century through the 11th century. It's there, particular in 9th and 10th century, is their great Indian pandit, Shantarakshita, came to Tibet. It wasn't easy to establishing the Dharma there. And then later Pema Sambhava came, and the sponsor is a Dharma King Tuzong Detsen. They work together, and they trained many translators, translated lots of Indian text into Tibetan. And so Shantarakshita became abbot of the Nalanda University. Then, later, Kagyu School of Tibetan Buddhism, Marpa. Marpa's went to India. His teacher, Naropa, is a pandit of the Nalanda University. You can see, relate to the Nalanda University. And the Saja School of Tibetan Buddhism, also there, in Bravapa, I think. Ne Tin Chuchong in the Tibetan. It's a great, there's some scholar in Nalanda University, they relate to Nalanda. The Gelug School of Tibetan Buddhism, they're called Kadampa. And their Atisha, he's some sort of related to Nalanda University. And so that's also related to Nalanda University. This old Tibetan school of Buddhism is at Nalanda University. We are pretty much same thing. The root text, we are studying all Indian masters like Nagarjuna, Asanga, Vasubandhu, Dignaga, Dharmakirtis, all root text. We just started sharing the same. We don't have any Kanjur, Tenjur different. the foundation of those teachings is basically the same thing. And particularly these 4 seals of the Dharma goes across whole Buddhism. Even Theravadan schools of Buddhism pretty much similar, sharing these 4 subjects. Different way of using, like emptiness is a little bit different, but other than that, it's similar. Tibetan Buddhism belongs to the Mahayana tradition, which emphasizes the idea of the bodhisattva, enlightenment being, one who strives for enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. The 2 main teachings of the Mahayana, the bodhicitta, awakened heart of compassion, and the wisdom of emptiness, shunyata, the Sanskrit, both of which will be center important to our discussion. These 2 subjects here more detailed explained. Different schools of Buddhism describe as a seal of the Dharma in slightly different ways. Sometimes there are 3 seals, seal of Dharma, sometimes we say 4 seal of the Dharmas. Ways in which different wording approaches. This is the text based on the 19th century great master called Mapam, Jamgun Mapam, and he was 1846 to 1912. And the Well of Analytical Meditation, the text he wrote, my book is based on this. I give some sort of commentary and share the lots.
Was your title to Mipam's book? Mipam's work?
No. My title is Your Mind is Your Teacher.
Right, but you mentioned that it's based on Mipam.
Yeah, right. But the analytical meditation is pretty similar, breaking through contemplative meditation. The meaning is same. The way of the teaching is similar. Yeah. So far, do you have any questions? Yeah, please. Okay. I'm going to talk about those later, but here, bodhicitta, they have 2 types of bodhicittas, relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. Within relative bodhicitta, we do have aspiration of bodhicitta, application of bodhicitta. Aspiration is that thoughts, good heart and a good mind, saying that I'm sitting like 10 minutes here for benefit all sentient beings. Or saying limitless sentient beings, endless suffering, and nobody wants suffering, but their struggle in this world. Everybody wants happiness, but they don't know how to achieve happiness. So I'm sitting here, I'm just taking example, or listening Dharma teachings for all sentient beings. You are doing similar, just sit, like say, oh, I'm sitting here 10 minutes for just relaxation. Relax my mind and body together, I need a rest. Or you say that, oh, I'm sitting here, this kind of unhappiness and tired, life is difficult. That's not only me. Millions of people have that problems. That I want to sit 10 minutes for all sentient beings. This kind of mind we called good heart and a good mind, a big mind. Mind itself doesn't have big or small. It makes big or small the object. This is aspiration of bodhicitta. Application of bodhicitta is then not just only thinking, but with action. Generosity practice, discipline practice, so forth. It is all explained in this book. Then, this both relative bodhicitta, absolute bodhicitta, realize emptiness. Directly realize emptiness is absolute bodhicitta. And if you look at take it, the upper mind, right? Relative bodhicitta is that quality of one's own mind. It's the nature of one's own mind is emptiness. Awareness part of one's own mind arise different types of mind. Sometimes it's angry rising, sometimes jealous rising, sometimes envy arising, sometimes love and the compassion. It's a part of just energy of mind. Bodhicitta is one of the positive part of mind and awareness. Then its innate nature itself is emptiness. If you really look at where it is, how it's rising and ceasing, to try to find something, we can't find anything. It is empty. But it's not nothingness, it's arising, awareness. Awareness yet is emptiness. Using terms, emptiness. Emptiness itself is awareness. This is called emptiness. Sometimes we say union of appearances and the emptiness. The realized emptiness is very hard to express through the words or judging or this and that, some sort of, but we can experience it. Someone realizes it, then just suddenly, yeah, you can experience it. And to realize emptiness, usually we don't realize emptiness, therefore we are holding on, grasping, fixating, and makes troubles, me and the mind, right? If you realize emptiness, then release all tightness and holding on, fixating something. You totally just relaxed. But this realization of emptiness is very important. That's really antidote of the suffering. If you want to cut off the ego clinging, cut off the selfish, if you want to cut off all troubles, just root of this, then we have to realize emptiness. Otherwise, it's just, we can temporarily somewhere control other method, but not root. Yeah. When dreaming. Oh, yeah, life is like a dream. In the Dharma teachings describing it's like illusion, it's like a dream, it's like a mirage, it's a rainbow, so forth. But it also has meanings too. If we don't think about it carefully, not enough investigate it, then it doesn't make sense. It's our awake life is like a dream. That's right. Sure. And here, our life is like a dream. A lot of Dharma teachings describing that. But usually we don't see that directions. But Arya Bodhisattvas see everything is like a dream. But if we carefully think about it in our life, then we will have better idea. Sometimes we will see it a little bit, a glimpse of, really life is like a dream. Take your life as an example. And from the birth into now, many things is like a dream now. It's just you remembered. While we are dreaming, everything is happening. When you wake up, oh, you have just only memory. Similar, this in the samsaric experience, as long as we are living in this samsara, everything is happening. If we wake up, then it's not. Wake up means enlightenment. Then there's nothing happening. It's just like illusion. We are confused due to ignorance, not knowing one's own mind. So it has meanings. In the deeper level of, if you go these directions, then we have to study mind-only school, mind. The dream. While we are dreaming, we don't see a different subject and object. It is different, but we don't see its mind, one's own mental projections. If you have something horrible like a car accident, example, it's a dream, then you can see other cars, drivers, they came and you're driving the car, that they caught accident, and then police came on the ambulance and everything go to hospital, everything's happening. You don't see this car and everything is one's own mental projections. But reality is one's own mental projections. It's not real, this car is something happening. Arya Bodhisattvas, so look at for in our life, just ordinary thinking beings, they see exactly the same. We are the deluded by the ignorance, and we are the confused. That's why endless suffering is unnecessary. From Buddha's point of view, we have potential to awake. He took the spiritual path, meditated for 6 years. He found the answer is end of the. We just have to awake. Buddha means awaken one, awake. We have to awake. That's the end of the suffering, completely end of the suffering. Then he sees every sentient being has that potential. Not only just Buddha himself. Even insects and others has potential to become awake. Okay. mind is very fascinating. And yeah, it's a that's why we have different opinions. Even one family is sharing almost every situation, but every member of family has different lives. Some situations, some is very happy, some situations, some is very upset. When you go to the grocery store and things some people like, some people they don't. From Dharma point of view, this all related to the one's own mind, opinions. There is no such there good or bad or something there. If you want to make better life, then first need more focus in one's own mind. Some there we have mental patterns, makes troubles, we have to try to dissolve it. That's a way of making better life. Okay. We can go a little bit further. My favorite writer and focus of my university studies is referred to as Mapham the Great, and it has been called the most remarkable Tibetan master of the modern era. He was the brilliant scholar of the Nyingma lineage who produced the body of writing that filled more than 30 volumes. More than 30 volumes of his collected work in the Tibetan. Because of his accomplishments, he is regarded as the personification of Minjushri, the Bodhisattva wisdom. President Gyalguma Rinpoche's teaching in an accessible way, I have woven personal experience into this book, starting with myself as a young boy, determined. This is just a little bit introduction of this book. I became a Buddhist monk. I shared the path of my study and practice, path that I think will be helpful for Western students in discovering the meaning for a happy life through knowing our precious fundamental nature. I include examples for modern lives, since traditional Tibetan examples are likely to be unfamiliar. This is it's true. We have sometimes saying that life is like, here's take out in the butter. It doesn't make sense. Which means that when we die, just live. We have to go live by self. There's nobody to come with it. If you hear the yak here, of course, and butter, yak butter, right? Sometimes they have hair, the single hair. If you take out, there's nothing stained in the butter hair. It's just come out pure, clean, without any butter. Similar, when we die, nobody's come with it. Us. There's no father, mother, parents, or whatever, friends, possess everything, just have to go live alone. It doesn't make sense. But lots of examples I use in the modern technology and others. I try to avoid using too many of foreign words, which in my tradition are not only in the Tibetan, but also in Sanskrit, the ancient language of India, in which many class texts are written. However, it is not always easy to find an extra English equivalent for some of these terms. In some cases, okay, I don't have to read the whole. Yeah, it's not always easy to find exactly words. English It's improving Dharma world. We use a lot Sanskrit, sometimes in the Tibetan. But it takes time to establish, like a karma example, karma and the Vajrayana and Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, a lot we use the Sanskrit terms. I urge you to try to contemplate meditation in addition to the instructions in this book. You will find support. Okay, this is basically as introduction. Once you step out in this path, you will begin to look at everything differently, at your habit patterns will naturally dissolve or change for the better. The way of analyzing helps us to understand not only ourselves, but the true nature of our world. My heart wish is that this teaching on the contemplation of the four seals may take root in your life and bring about the changes I know are possible to bring your happy and a peaceful life. Okay, any other questions here? No? Not much? Okay. Now we can go to... Sure.
Some of the teachers mentioned fossils and some others mentioned trees. So which one is the one that some other sources do not mention? Is it multiplicity?
Other sources?
Which one did they leave out? The ones that mentioned three seals.
Oh, emptiness. Yeah. The four seals is that impermanence, multiplicity, suffering, and emptiness. Emptiness. Oh, it's emptiness. Yeah. All school of the Buddhism. No, sometimes we call it Hinayana. Theravada schools, they're not describe emptiness. Maybe sometimes individual sublessness. Individual sublessness. They don't believe that everything is emptiness. It makes big problems for them. Yeah, Hinayana or Theravada, we call it Hinayana. Shavaka and Patika Buddhist schools. They're also, it's very profound. It's not, sometimes when we study the Mahayana Buddhism, we criticize a little bit Hinayana is a lower vehicle, they're sub-motivated, and they don't have potential to become enlightened beings. They're motivated, just free from the samsara, and so forth. But if you look at those practitioners, particular arhat, it's very high. They have high realizations. We can't compete. It's just ordinary like us. They realize sublessness of individual. They see the form, feeling, perception, formation. There's no behind of this, the sub-permanent self something. Yeah, that's right, spatial. But yeah, right. And when we use terms describing in the teachings, then say that hena. Hena means lesser. Yana is vehicle, lesser vehicle. A large Indian text they described. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's not. That's true. That's true.
But one focuses on self, and one is more altruistic. So it's a broader view, a wider view. There's a
Mahayana. They have debate. Of course, if you read Shantideva's 9th chapter of the Shantideva, where Bodhisattvas, sometimes it's said, where Bodhisattva's life, where Bodhisattva's conduct, then their Hinayana and Mahayana, they have debate. Hinayana saying that Mahayana is not authentic teaching of the Buddha. It's just made up by Nagarjuna, Asanga. They just made up this. It's not really authentic of the Buddhas. And there are some reasons said that if it's a authentic of Buddha's teachings, then Mahakashyapa and other disciples of the Buddha have to receive it, and they have to know it. But they don't receive it, those teachings, so therefore it's not authentic of the Buddha's teachings. And Mahayana is saying that it's not necessary, all teachings hearing by the Mahakashyapas and others. It's his teachings received by like Manjushri, Vajrapani, and Avalokiteshvara is non-humans. And also, this is more profound. Mahakashyapas, others, doesn't have abilities to receive these teachings. Then they say, oh, we have argument here. This some sort of, we have debate. It's maybe authentic or not. Then this is all Shantidevas saying that if someone's argument makes not authentic, then the whole Buddhist is not authentic, because we are a little bit of trouble with Tartikas, non-Buddhist. And then they say, oh, it's not looks like Abhidharma, it's not look like Sutras, so forth. There's some subjects. Yeah.
Can we say that impermanence applies even to this concept? So we have Hinayana first, and then Mahayana, and in the future we will have another form of Buddhism.
Different form of Buddhism? Yeah, we're always changing, but those subjects, it's nothing changed. Basic, concept. It's different languages in the describing this fundamental realities, but someone who realizes this is the same conclusion, is the same. That's yeah, that's happened all the time.
So what yana?
One yana?
One yana to the come. One yana to the right from there. When it's more head and body all together.
Mind and body together, and just one person?
The whole teaching of Buddha, it will include all in the Vajrayana.
Okay.
And the limit will be minor and more limit in the Hinayana.
Oh, okay.
Like Kalachakra,
Yeah.
they made the Mahayana, so all the secret, all the Dharma
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, right, right. Here. When new, the Mahayana arising, it's some sort of new for the Hinayana Buddhism at that time. But later, then they accept as Buddhists, right? They have similar, and one who is their great practitioners and profound their realizations. But then later, Mahayana have a little bit troubles, Vajrayana too. But if you study the whole Buddhist teachings, it has really the significance, its meanings more profound.
Many teachings of Buddha is not public, it's more secret. So that makes it more than secret.
Yeah, Vajrayana is more profound than other just general teachings because it has more method discovering profound natural reality. Fundamental natural reality is always the same. The way of discovering method is more profound, is more more method.
Khenpo Sotra one time said about Hinayana that it's like a foundation. It's a foundation. Mahayana is built upon that foundation. So if you don't pay attention to Hinayana, he compared it like he said, if you're building a palace on a frozen lake, in the summertime that lake is going to melt. So that palace is going to collapse. So Hinayana, in that regard, is important. The foundation that there is.
Yeah, discipline. Discipline is we share Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana, like monks, nuns, and the lay practitioners, we have the discipline part of this, and it's same, Hinayana. As then, just only discipline is not enough. We have to have the bodhicitta, and to realize emptiness. Then that is the explanation of emptiness of bodhicitta is in the Mahayana teachings, not in the Hinayana teachings. There's motivation, it's a sub-motivated, which means that the individual doesn't want to suffer. They want to liberate, become arhat. So Mahayana, then we have bodhicitta and emptiness. And then Vajrayana and the bodhicitta's emptiness, it's a necessity. But bodhicitta is some different way of describing. The Vajrayana describes this right now, what we have, this five poisons, five aggregates, is to try to awaken the pure realms, Buddha's realms. We use terms of Vajra aggregate, five passions as the Buddha's wisdom, five aggregate is a form of the Buddha, so forth. They have some really profound teachings. And it's not just only teachings, behind that large philosophies, and it makes sense. Like example, if we have here, this is just a glimpse of how it works. And here, 6 thinking beings, 6 realms thinking beings, God realms, jealous God realms, human realms, animal realms, hungry ghost realms, and hell beings came here. Then we have Buddhas, bodhisattvas, came here and look at it, this water. Every person has different opinions of this. What we see is water, as other beings, they don't see water. Which is right, which is wrong? It's a relative, and someone who has the highest realizations, what they see is close to reality. And in this perspective, the Buddha's, Bodhisattva's view, the Buddha, what Buddha says is a reality. And at this point, in the last Vajrayanas, it makes sense. And we have more teachings based on this. Yeah, it's really profound.
I would like to add that because of the profundity, because of the deepness
Okay,
of the teaching, maybe a lot of misunderstandings
okay,
come about.
okay,
We would say that the Vajrayana is secret teaching. Actually, what secret meaning refers more to the deep meaning, to the profound
okay, yeah.
instead of being secret.
The explanation, the individual experience of the meditation
Right.
is what the Vajrayana goes to. It teaches the personal wisdom of the experience.
Secret, the depth of the understanding.
Mm.
Depth of the teaching rather than it is secretive.
Yeah, right, secretive. It's one is that some teachings, we say here blessings, lineage blessings, and these profound teachings. If you just give it to everybody, it's nobody wants, and it's not much valuable. Really, nobody get it, the meaning of this. Just, it's not much helpful. If they're small, the one who really dedicated, they have devotions, faith and devotions, they're dedicated, and their proper way of receiving it, then one who, like Buddha, has realizations, he gave to their disciples the proper way of doing it, the cause and the conditions involved, then those disciples are giving to the next, their disciples are giving to the next. That we are not losing this profound meaning, and it's the wisdom lineage. Wisdom is transmitted to the giving to the next. That's why just not for everybody. Everybody doesn't contend. They don't have container to contend that wisdom teachings. And yeah, please.
I was just going to make a comment.
Sure, please.
It's like a question. Personally, I have studied and read that. Also, I'm very grateful with many social scientists,
Okay.
researchers, historians,
Mm.
who have contributed to the West to understand better Buddhism.
Okay.
One of the things that my brother here says about the Hinayana is powerful, and it is most
Effective.
Yeah, to understand Buddhism from the very certain and true way to see it.
Mm.
But when we see and read and look other many of the research,
Okay.
Mahayana, as you very good said, and thank you for saying that, came later. Vajrayana also came much later. And if we review Vajrayana, it's only practiced, or was only practiced in Tibet. So that means, and that
Vajrayana.
yeah, so that brings also the other point of view, that it was only the Tibetan contribution that gave to the Buddhism was the Vajrayana, because if we see other countries in Asia, for example, nobody, well, I'm talking about not right now, because now we have centers everywhere, but nobody in China, Vietnam, Myanmar, Indonesia, nobody practiced Vajrayana before. onto the
Vajrayana.
contribution of the Tibetans. So in terms of that, also we have the contribution of many philosophers like Nagarjuna, Vasavandhu, Dharmakirti, which are very serious and profound philosophers for the Abhidharma that we're,
Yeah, right.
So Abhidharma is a point, the crucial point to really open it, all of the branches of Buddhism. But the essence comes from the Hinayana. And Vajrayana is, of course, I think the last contribution that was made for the Tibetans. But that's why also researchers point Indo-Tibetan culture, because as with the deities we see, they have that common deities, common practices that were enhanced probably without the creator notion, concept in Tibet. That's still in India. They
Sure.
Is that this comment could be at the same time a question that would be accepted, or is this okay if you agree with what I have said?
I have a little bit different the view of this, and also I have lots of dialogue and so forth. Here, Vajrayana, it's not the complete Vajrayana teachings. It's only in the Tibetan right now. There is no any other language contains the whole Vajrayana teachings. That means Kriya, we have outer tantras, it's inner tantras. So there are 6 categories. Sometimes we use 4, but 6. Kriya Yoga, Upa Yoga, Kriya Upa, and then Mahayoga, Ana Yoga, Ati Yoga. There are different types of whole Tantra sections. So Tantra is not just one. They're more profound, like a Mahamudra example. And this whole, the teachings of the Tantras only in Tibet. But in China, they do have a little bit of the Tantras. The Kriya, the yoga, Tantras, as they translated into Chinese. And later they went to Japan to, still I think they have some, so forth. But the Vajrayana in the Tibetan, some scholars have different opinions. So this, this is, for example, Dzogchen and others. It's not originated in India or so forth, right? And also lots of deities. It's not related to the Indian, some tantras. But I think it is. It's related to the India. It's not just related to the culture itself. And like wrath for deities, peace for deities, if you're familiar with those deities, it's not just on the culture. In the Tibetan, we don't have this. I think some sort of lots of mandalas, and it's lots of Indian tantras translated into Tibetan. We have, it's clear this, tantras. They're described exactly. And when we practice the different way of doing it, is they have that visions. When we die, is they have that visions. It's not just related to the culture, it's related to the more, we think it's more related to the inner wisdom of the one's own mind. And that's manifesting and the great beings just describing. That's you can see in the part of teachings, and also some in the Dzogchen teachings is a similar, if you way of sitting and so forth. This deity is just naturally rising, and the describing is that that's not outside of there's something, but inside the wisdom appears that way, manifesting. We have to recognize this way and make it familiar right now with those deities. And then when we die and we don't have this corporeal body is abstracted, we don't see it. At that moment, it appears in the Pardo that we have to recognize it's one's innate nature. And that's where it is to liberate it. So for the last teachings based on there, yeah.
So I was mentioning that the Indo-Tibetan exchange knowledge.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. But for example, the Anapanasati Sutta, where it's focused in the what was known after the shamatha, that is a sutta. And
Yeah.
it mentioned exactly the single pointed meditation, which was
Mindfulness.
yes, and that was always interpreted and translated as a shamatha. But it comes, that's a sutta practice. And so we can identify that through all this research. But there's some things that were, my point is there were many things that were cultural, adapted later. That's my.
Yeah, some, I think, in the story says that, story is saying that when Dharma came to Tibet and Shantarakshita, abbot of the Nalanda University, when he was, I think, 75 something years old, he came to Tibet. And he recommended to the king, saying that, oh, those teachings have to translate it into Tibetan. They translated in the Tibetan. And what I thought, I have to say something. Then Dharma is new at that time. That we have Pen traditions. They're different. They already have the religion. So most people are following their traditions. They don't want to new, independence comes and teaching so forth. But then what happened is that the statues, they said that the king asked to the Shantarakshita, it's okay that Tibetan people doesn't like Indian features like Buddha's, some images, is they can make a little bit more like Tibetans.
We're like that.
No, it's just the person, features. And what Shantarakshita is saying that it's okay. And then the best, I think they pick up some girls and boys as very beautiful face, as they change a little bit features of the face. That's and the story is saying that. And it's very hard to tell these days, but we don't have a lot text lost in the real, manuscript. But luckily we have some, like a Tonghang manuscript, over 1,000 years old text. That really tells a lot. It's how this authentic, which means that the very early, when they translated into Tibetan, but not much changed. Over 1,000 years, it's almost, we can say nothing changed. There's some, we chanting like a Hatsuda, some spelling a little bit, but almost exactly the same. What we are chanting now, modern in Tibetan. And this, like Diamond Suttas, the Golden Suttas, a lot of Suttas. And the Tantras too. Yeah.
The essence of the Buddha teaching is preserved in all branches of Buddhism.
That's right.
However, Vajrayana emphasizes more on initiation and visualization, which is very powerful.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Visualization Vajayanas more emphasize is that the result, enlightenment, body, speech, mind, bring into the path. Visualization that is included, the bring into the path. It's has lots of different things we have to do it. Result. Usually what we saying in here, take a Buddha nature, and the Sudayana, just compared to the Sudayana and Vajrayana, and they take this one subject, Buddha nature. And the Sutta is saying that Buddha nature is the seed of Buddha. We have potential to become awake. We have Buddha nature, yeah. If we realize and then strengthening that, we have potential to become Buddha. Sometimes we use terms causal vehicle. We have caused of the Buddha. The Vajrayana we call it result vehicle. If you're familiar with it, then Sab is a visualization of famous Mbawa or Vajrayogini, whatever. We do things, visualizations. And the result vehicle, if we realize some, then we are the Buddha. And that's have to lot involve the teachings and abhishekas and so forth, have more profound. It's not simple, but it's really it's a profound. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And they have like 70,000 years old, the deity or the Buddha, and they even have the great perfection. So I want to ask, the great perfection is from that start of 70,000 years ago or after the coming of Dharma?
Oh, okay. No. That's we have a little bit troubles. Sometimes this great profession, Dzogchen in the Tibetan, great profession, Mahasandhi in Sanskrit terms, sometimes, this is in the Tibetans, it's not originated from the India, Nalanda. And this is a Pern. Pern has Dzogchen too. So Pern is and sometimes we make mistakes. I think, Pern is earlier than the Buddhism. That means, this is in there. But here, the teachings. Now we have Donghua manuscript, over 1,000 years old text. It's just not copied, but physical manuscript. Donghua is over 1,000 years. Yeah, over 1,000 years. And that's clearly saying that the Dzogchen is originated in India. Some Indian pandit wrote the Dzogchen text there. And the terms, the Pema Sambhava, also is some Dzogchen teachings related to in the Nalanda, in Bekamalachala too. It's a terms and exactly the text is there.
So is Dharma start really with Nalanda or Dharma?
Chonang? Sure, Kalachakra, yeah. I think so. Yeah, we all tasted like Nagarjuna, Asanga, Bandhu, this all same thing. The text, we all study same Kalachakra and Tantras, same related to there, Nalanda. And Bekamalachala, the monastery at that time. And Yeah, the great perfection, I think, is clearly the relate to the in the India. That's we have right now. The physical. It's not just stories, telling that we have the researchers. The researchers need a physical thing.
But the proper symbol is the original Buddhist
No, it's it's not whole. Even the Dzogchen teachings in Tibet, the Dharma history, the Pema Sambhava is not widely given, these Dzogchen teachings. He gives the few people, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, sometimes 4. This is few people he give it. Later in other Bekamala Shilas, I think great Pandit, Bamala Metta, he came to Tibet, and also he gave it the very small number of people. Just usually he gives the other tantras, like outer tantras, and mainly the sutras teachings. Those teachings give it very specific small student, number of students. It's a that's exactly yeah.
That's exactly the Manashila who made a lot of translations.
Bamala, that's right.
Yeah, from Sanskrit to
Tibetan, that's right.
We own the Manashila, many of the translations that he made, some Kenya, other.
That's right. We do have that. Oh, okay, I think maybe we can do dedication.